Welcome to the All In Podcast, the show that explores how the top real estate entrepreneurs have gone all in on their businesses. I'm your host, David Morse, with my co-host, Joe Quattrucci, and I invite you to come along with us as we explore the stories of the most elite professionals in the game today to learn how they went all in and how you and I can do the same. So I just have to ask, are you all in? Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the All In Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, David Moore, CEO of Keller Williams Scottsdale and Keller Williams High Street in North Phoenix. And I'm with my co-host, Joe Quattrucci, Director of Growth for the Kristen Cole Real Estate Network. Super pumped to have with us today a newer friend of mine and amazing agent in the Valley, Lauren Rosin. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Lauren, start us off by giving our viewers and our listeners kind of a general overview of what it is that you do and where you do it.
So I run a real estate team here locally in Arizona and then as well as San Diego. I have a background in investing and flipping and specializing in building people's rental portfolios.
Very cool. And so I want you to tell everyone, bring us back how you got into the business and what those first couple years looked like.
Well, let's see. I got in my car from Brooklyn, New York when I was about 19 years old and said, I'm done with this place. Drove cross country. My alternator broke down in Tempe, and I said, it's a sign.
This is where I should settle down.
And you've never left.
Didn't think I'd be here 2 decades later. But so I put myself through ASU, like waited tables, and then after college, I was like, no more waiting tables. And a friend of mine asked me to call mortgage leads, and I said, what's a mortgage? I grew up in an apartment in Brooklyn, right? And so I learned that business very fast and realized all the finance of it. And then a year into that, I was like, wait, I want to be a realtor. Because realtors have a lot more fun and make a lot more money. And so I got my real estate license in 2005, and I did both for about 6 years until the market crashed in 2009. And I saw a huge opportunity to jump into trustee sales. So I bought really heavy downtown for about 5.5 years and flipped. And so my specialty has always been towards the investment side. So like I feel like in any profession you need to have a specialty. So whether it's first-time home buyers or a certain grant that you guys work on, like I felt like having a specialty was super important to keep me focused. So I always went with the investor side.
Let me ask you a little bit more about that. Why do you think, tell us a little bit more about why you think it's so important for an agent to kind of narrow their focus on one particular group of people?
You're just really not going to be successful at anything until you have a focus. And I'm not saying that you can't go and do other things, but as a new agent, I focused on one thing. If every single day I only could sell to firemen, I'm going to figure out the best way to market to them, and I'm going to crush that market. And I'm focused only on that. And it's about being laser focused, the one thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like how you put that in there.
It's perfect.
But yeah, I would agree. Being a specialist in something is most likely going to yield better dividends than being a generalist in all things. So so you get in, it's 2005, you get into trustee sales. Talk to us. I know this, but I was blown away when you told me about your best year. And I think it was around that, like 2009, wasn't it?
2011.
2011. Okay, so tell us a little bit about that. Don't be humble. I want to hear like what you did that year. And then I want to dive into how you did it.
Let's see. So I was doing the auctions for about 2.5 years. And I don't know if you guys have been to the auctions here in Arizona, but it's pretty much the Wild West. They sit outside the courthouse, the trustees, at a different picnic table, and they're yelling off different trustee sales. And at that time, there were 600 to 1,200 foreclosures a day in Maricopa County.
Wow.
So I was the brains of the operation. I had my drivers, my bidders, and so we just got heavy into that. So what I was doing was I was getting property from my investors, and then I was able to list those. So that year I did a lot of listings. And so that's kind of how I got going. And then I figured, why not just go get my master's in real estate development during this time, because I'm already getting my butt kicked with the auctions and overwhelmed. So I went back and did that. I had no assistant. I burned myself out because I was like, I'm going to do everything myself. Once you believe that you're the only one that's going to do it right, it's not good. So I burnt myself out, and I actually went over to California, and that's where I got the California license.
Okay.
But then I started interviewing with all the heavy hitters there, and they were like, what did you build at home? You need to go home. And I was like, oh, I really got to build a team. I don't want a team. But I was doing 100 units a year with no CRM and no assistant. Like I was burnt out. So I came.
Pause. Did you pick up on that?
100 units a year, no help.
Just from word of mouth.
Yeah.
Because I was a specialist. I was an investment agent specialist. So all the investors came to me. They all had 5, 10 each homes a year to sell. I was getting multiple deals from each client. So because I was so focused. Now, I was still getting business from traditional real estate, regular buyers and sellers. But I had a specialty. And to this day, people know me as a residential investment specialist.
What was your hesitation around building a team? You said, you didn't really want to do it, but your volume was such that it kind of forced you that direction. What was the hesitation, and are you glad that you made that move?
Management. So I don't like being a manager. I'm not that person. I'm the rah-rah cheerleader, team lead. And so that was my fear. I'm a realtor that got too busy, right? So I had to force to learn how to be a businesswoman and grow a team and be a manager. And I did it with a coach. I'm a huge believer in coaches. I don't think there's an professional athlete out there that doesn't have a coach or 5. And so I hired a coach that was very specific for team building. I wish I did it 10 years earlier because I'd be at 1,000 units a year right now. So now my team's 4 years old.
Well, and it's growing astronomically, and I've observed it from the outside. And you're doing a great job, and I know you think there's still plenty of growth left to accomplish. One of the things that you said that I want to pick up on is when you convince yourself that you're the only one that can do something. I forget exactly how you put it, but I think that's something that agents struggle with a lot is letting go of pieces of the business because they have convinced themselves that they're the only one that can do it right. Do you feel like that was something that...
Oh, huge. Because the whole thing is I can do everything, right? But what's the highest and best use of Lauren? And that's not doing TC work. That's not being the sales manager, that's being the business developer, the rainmaker. And so I had to give that up. When I first started interviewing coaches, the guy that I ended up hiring told me, he's like, just know no one's ever going to do it as good as you, and it's okay. And so I really have a 90% thing. I'm like, are you doing it at least 90%? All right, that's an A. We're good. And, I had to stop being a perfectionist because there's a point where 90-95% is all right, you're trying, as long as you're trying your best and I know your outcome's an A, I'm okay with it. And so just giving up that, control. And then by hiring the right people, you're only micromanaging when you hired the wrong person, let's be honest, right?
Absolutely.
I hire people that are better at me than the job.
Leverage, and that's the case with leverage, right? They do it better than you would even do it.
Right, and that's
Absolutely.
the point of it. And so just bringing the right people, hiring the right people, taking my time. People are interesting, right? You see someone that you're like, wow, that'd be a great fit for my team. But you might not be able to grab that person right now. But you start watching them, evaluating them. In a few years, maybe now they're available and you grab them. So that's a big part is attracting the right people. We have a really strong culture on my team, and it's very evident to anyone on the team or outside the team. And if you don't fit my culture, I don't hire you because you make me money. I'm not building a retirement plan, which I find a lot of team leads are. I'm building careers and livelihoods for people. And they're proud of themselves, and they come back to the office proud of themselves, and they're proud to be on my team. And so that's what we're doing at the end of the day.
So what is your philosophy around culture? How do you create a culture and how do you maintain a culture?
You repeat it over and over, and you hire by your core values, you fire by your core values, you repeat your core values. There's some cool games you can do where once a week, okay, someone will be they did something great. That's a core value related. So you that week you award them. Okay, you did great. You followed one of our core values. You did this. Now assign it to someone else the next week. You're just making it really clear what your core values are to your organization. Yeah. When I started real estate, I was like, there's no culture on teams. What are you talking about? My coach, and he's like, and so now I see it. I'm like, I can't imagine not having a culture. And that doesn't mean my culture works for a different kind of team lead. Everybody's different.
Definitely. Tell us about your culture a little bit, because it is powerful and it is recognizable and you feel it from even the outside. And so I'm just curious, what is the culture of your team? How did you develop your core values?
We're family. I call them my troops, and we're family. And so that's our number one core value, is that we help you. So our core value is we're family, we help each other, we're reliable, we're educated, we're always taking extra classes and courses, and we have a lot of fun. That's our 5th one. So everybody knows it and feels it. And what I found in the first year of the team building, which was hard, I was hiring because I was desperate. And I was hiring people that didn't fit my values and how I do things. And so, for the first year, I really struggled. And then I went to a Tony Robbins event, right, and had my aha moment. And the aha moment was, this team has nothing to do about me. I get to lead all these people every day to have livelihoods. The escrow companies have more business. The contractors have more business. The agents, they get to go home. They're proud, And so once I realized it was all about them, the whole culture changed and showed itself, and everything got easy, and the bad people fell off.
So talk to me about the transformation that you made, because a second ago you said that you were the realtor that was too busy and almost forced into creating the team. You almost didn't even want to do it. And now here you are creating a team of culture and learning over what I assume to be several years that it's more about them than you. So talk to me about your personal transformation as a business owner and a person.
Wow, I have changed a lot, I think, actually, in the last 4 years. And I think it became more about them and helping them and like making them like superstars. And because if you build up a realtor's self-esteem and confidence, they're going to do better. Any salesperson.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. It's weird because you build a team thinking, oh, I don't have to work. I'm like, yeah, I think I work more. But
right.
That's the entrepreneur's journey, though, right?
Right,
like
never
we
satisfied.
talk about all the time. We're working 80 hours a week for ourselves, so we don't have to work 40 hours a week for someone else.
Literally say that all the time.
Yeah, but keep going. I cut you off.
Oh no, I mean, what else you got?
Well, okay. Well, let me push back a little bit, because you also said family and fun, okay? And frankly, I talk to a lot of team owners, right? And family and fun pop up a lot. And I find that a lot of team leads say that their values are family and fun. How do you make your people believe that?
So I gave them all the last name Rosin. No, I'm just joking.
There's the silver bullet, folks.
Just rename everybody. No, so we do a lot of stuff together. So, okay, my office is everybody has a desk and a space, and I expect you there every day. And I don't have you in a bullpen, and I'm not trying to put you down, and I'm not trying to label you a buyer agent, because I feel like a lot of teams label people buyer agents. And now I do give out my buyer leads to them, and I focus on listings as a team lead, but that doesn't mean that if they come to me with a listing, I'm going to take it away from them.
Right.
Because what's happening is you're seeing a high level of turnover with teams, and I am not. I like long-term people, and if I could build them up and make them good money and set great goals for them and the environment's great, they're going to stay with me. If an agent's doing 1 or 2 deals a month, they're eventually going to leave you. But if you have them at 4 or 5 deals a month because your admin is such a strong support system, where are they going?
Yeah.
So that's my whole thing, is retention.
And I love that you talked about the admin being that centralized support system. We see that a lot in teams. A lot of the core values and beliefs and culture is really held within, obviously, you as the team leader, but also that administrator who you don't want to experience turnover with, and who is kind of the rock in the middle of the business with you, helping lead the agents. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. And so my second interview was in my right hand's living room, because I want to know where she lives. I want to know her husband. I want to know her dog's name. I want to see, is this someone that I want to like be my right hand? And is this someone who's going to move a lot? And so just taking your time to find that role. And then also knowing, like, I found someone that wasn't on the market, you know, and so I got lucky in that route. But, yeah, she's so solid, and because she's so solid, the team's okay with her. Because there comes a point where I have to be like, you can't come to ask me, like, a random contract question, right? You could ask me to get creative and how to structure a deal or how to do comps, but, like, simple questions need to go to the office, because I'm doing other things that are more important for the team at that point. So that role is super important. So I have a full-time listing manager that's very strong. I have a full-time transaction manager, very strong, and a project manager, and then a marketer. So like those people have 20 years experience each. My agents could be rookies, because these women that are my admin team that have been in the business 20 years, they're protecting those agents, because, you know, new agents make mistakes. Old agents make mistakes, but you know, it's just good to have that. So we have a couple rules on the team, like 2 sets of eyes on every contract. Like if I write a contract, it has to be reviewed. So we just try to prevent mistakes and like cheer on, successes. And
you mentioned the one thing earlier, so I want to go into that. What do you think, the way that you lead your team, talk to us about your 20%. What are the things that are still very much within your control that you take ownership of and that you do on a daily and weekly basis to help run your team and drive production forward?
So I'm always looking at what I'm doing and then how to hire for that position. So I've been really in charge of like the sales management role and the lead management role, and it's such a bad role for me. So I can't find one person to do it, but I found to split it up. So my sister works on my team. She's a GM background. She was a sales manager for Amazon. So she's just a natural so she runs our sales meetings on Tuesdays. I'm there, but she's controlling it and structuring it. I'm a visionary, right? I'm like, 20 ideas. So I need her to stay there and structure. Then I brought in the office, one of the admin people, they're monitoring the lead flow. And so like I've just kind of had to divide up that role because I'm not good at that. And so identifying what I'm not good at, what have I not given up? Nothing yet. I'm willing to give up every part as long as, I'm everyone's cheerleader, right?
Sure.
I'm the problem solver, like the creative thinker.
Yeah.
Well, and you're still in production, so you're still going on listing appointments. You're still working with clients and doing some sort of lead generation. And those are things that have not come off your plate yet.
Yeah, lead generate. It's like, yeah, you have, as a team lead, your focus should be getting listings, because every listing is 5 more deals for your team.
Right.
Because you have Zillow calls, open houses, sign calls, websites. So I look at every deal as 5 deals. That's why I think agents are so funny. They got hung up on this 3% or this. And I'm not saying I'm a discount listing agent, but like, get the deal done. It's going to create more business for the team. Mm-hmm. And so like, a lot of times I can just wholesale something or like sell it to someone I know, but it's like, no, let me put it on the market because it's going to generate business for the team. So my goal as a team lead, my 100% goal is just making it rain constantly.
So do you still specialize and focus on investment type properties and auctions and those types of things, or now is your database at the point where you can kind of focus on repeat referral business?
Both. So I don't do the auctions because they're just there's just no inventory, as you guys are aware. But I do a lot. Yes, I do have a whole complete, I have a whole wholesale, not wholesale, I flip. I'm end buyer. So I flip a lot of properties. And then I also, my one specialty that really got me going is I teach people how to build their wealth through real estate. And that's the thing about that is everyone thinks real estate investor has to have millions of dollars. It's you, the school teacher. Let's sit down and make a strategic plan on how we can get you a better retirement. Okay, you're going to buy this first house and you're going to live in it for 2 years. And in 2 years, you're going to save up this much money. I mean, we're going to put a tenant in this one and then you're going to buy this one, right? And then in 3 more years, you're going to save up this much. And you're designing the investment strategy for that person. So a teacher can own 5-6 homes in 20 years. What would that look like if they're getting passive income? And so I just kind of, I try to I'm more of an educator. I try to help people understand how to build their wealth through real estate. And that's been and I lead by example too. I own a lot of rentals. So I understand and then we're experts, right? How many times, sorry, I don't give out tax advice and legal advice, but I know tax law and I know legal strategy. And I'll be like, oh, I think you can do this tax strategy. Please consult your CPA. But now I've put that in their head and wow, this woman really knows what she's talking about.
Right. So, you've made yourself an authority there.
Yeah, I just feel you really have to educate. That's why the investment side was so strong for me, because I learned legal strategies. I learned tax strategies. I mean, every one of my agents comes on the team. I'm like, all right, we're setting up your PLLC. This is your S Corp, this. And they're like, what? But in a year or two, they're like, wow, I know this, and I'm 27 years old. Now I have my whole life to do this right, because taxes are a game. It's a board game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you like you said, you're leading by example, and that shows up, and it goes back to retention happens when you do lead by example. I also love that you're teaching people, like you brought up the school teacher. Because the school teacher can own rentals. The school teacher can flip properties. The school teacher can have a wealth development plan designed for them. And I think that's so important, because people do think it's unattainable. People do think you need to have millions of dollars to get into this, and you don't. And so you're affecting change, life, legacy type change in people's lives. And when you do that, that's the word that travels. Joe and I were just talking about reputation-based luck, right? Where your reputation makes you lucky and other people are starting to bring you opportunities. When you affect change in people's lives like that, where you're generationally creating wealth for them, your business is going to start running itself.
That's why I was doing 100 on average from 2009 forward. I did 100 deals a year with no CRM. I send out a holiday card, because I was and even when I was a lender, I was an advisor, right? I was why do you want to refinance a 30-year mortgage and put your car in it? Are you going to own the car for 30 years? Did you know that refinancing resets your loan to the 30 years and you have all these fees? I just made people, so I would turn down refinances as a lender because I didn't think it was the right strategy for them. So what did? They referred me 10 people.
Right.
Because I'm an expert. I'm not a short-term vision person. I'm a long-term person. Yeah. In 2009, 10, 11, I was selling $35,000 homes to all these investors, and everybody was like, you're so stupid. You're making no money, this and this. Guess what I've been selling for the last 5 years?
The
Probably 400 of those.
Yeah, the $35,000 home that's worth $350 now.
Right. So, I've always just been I treat every client the same, whether you're high-end or low-end. It's all the same. You don't know who they know. Yep. And that's kind of been my thing. And so, yeah, I have a guy right now. We're dumping 76 homes that I sold him for between 25 and 40 grand, but they're at 250, 300, and I have 76 of them to sell. So it's you just don't know what you're gonna. And that's the thing that agents, I think, where everyone all salespeople, the good ones understand pipelines. What you do today is gonna affect something in the future, and so many people are short-sighted.
Yeah, I love that you brought up this idea of investing, because not only can that help us retain talented people in our world and create a culture of growth and wealth, but then we use that information and we go talk to our clients and customers. And I'm glad you brought this up, because I feel like this is one of the biggest places that real estate agents are leaving opportunity on the table, is their normal clients that they're already working with who should be real estate investors, but who have a real primary full-time job, so they don't consider themselves an investor. So we as agents aren't taking the initiative to say, hey, what does your retirement plan look like? How could we build wealth through real estate? And so I love that that's kind of a part of your angle, creating that trust through value, and sometimes even passing up business, at least in the lending world, to create a better relationship and help guide the person on what's really truly right for them at the time.
Totally. Like when I go to a listing appointment and they're like, should I sell or should I rent this? I want to buy another house. I go, we got to evaluate this from a tax strategy standpoint, because if you're making $300,000 tax free, like, you need to sell, right? But if you're going to get hit with a tax bill and you're going to make $700 a month cash flow, I'm going to tell you to keep it, And so I think what realtors need to look at is like the bigger picture. I look at everything as an investment and like what it's going to come back and how it's going to help me. And like, you got to be careful selling these, investment properties that are really old. You have the depreciation that gets kicked back on your taxes. And so just like knowing, I just always went above and beyond knowing that stuff, and knowing that I don't know anything, and that tax and legal strategy changes all the time. And so I think I've just made myself an expert, and that's why people are attracted to my team and my business.
Yeah, we talk about this idea of kind of wearing like two hats or several different hats. We are a real estate agent, and yes, I can list your home for you if that makes sense for your goals. I'm also a real estate investor. I could very well buy your home or wholesale your home or connect you with another wholesaler in the area. And so we can show up to one of our clients and have a variety of different options depending on what suits their needs in the moment. So do you ever get any kind of like pushback or skepticism around people like being weary of, like, it seems like you're wearing a lot of different hats, or how does that play out in a practical conversation?
At this point I've built the team, and so there's just, I assure them I have the right players in every seat, and I just give them the confidence like that. But something I did the other day, I beat out like 15 people for this listing, right? Because I told him, I said, well, what are you doing with the money? I know he didn't know anything. He goes, well, I'm going to buy some of their houses and do this and flips. I'm like, oh, I get wholesale deals all the time. I'll help you, I'll help you place that money. He's like, oh, I got the listing, right? He didn't even care about selling the house. I said, I get this house to sell itself. You just need to make a relationship with me. And so that's kind of how I propose it. Like, they're looking at, okay, I could sell this one house. The agent's like, oh, you need a stage. I don't care about your house. I'm going to list it and be gone in 4 minutes. What I care about is how are you going to spend that money? And so all of a sudden he's like, oh, this woman has access to deals. She understands investments. I'm I tell people all the time, I buy and sell. I'm in the market. I'm not just telling you how to buy and sell. Like, if you're a realtor and you rent, you need a new job. You should be fired because you haven't been through it. Because you haven't experienced it. I had 2 people come on my team that were brand new. I was like, go buy a house. And they both bought a house. And guess what? Those are my 2 top agents right now, because they experienced it. They felt, you deal with these like listing agents that are too heavy listing agents. They don't know buyers, and they got no feelings. They're just mean. They don't realize there's like 2 whole families being involved by, affected by this. So just looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah. And kind of that concept is Simon Sinek's infinite game, right? Like, we're big fans of Simon Sinek, and he talks about the finite game versus the infinite game. And that's what you're talking about. And I'm a huge believer in that. Like, stop being so short-sighted. Like, if you will commit to doing the right thing over time, you will be incredibly successful, whatever that definition of success is for you. Like, you will. I've never seen that strategy backfire.
Right, because you're focused.
Yeah.
So and then for the fun, so I do fun stuff with my team. I surprise them, and I take them to places like I took them I call it LRT, the Lauren Rosin Team Day. And so in January, I actually surprised them all and took them rappelling off a building in Tempe.
Wow. That's one they'll never forget.
Yeah, that's a surprise.
It was awesome. And what was so cool about it, so I had a business coach there. So at the end of it, we all spoke about it, how we got through it. And so it was really cool. But like my TC, I wasn't sure she was going to do it. She's the first one to go. And so when the business coach asked her about that, she goes, I knew I had to do it, and I wanted to get it over with. I'm like, amazing TC, right? That's what you want. And so that was a cool experience. And then I think the team was also amazed that I booked the whole thing and surprised them and actually got away with it. And then we have another team day coming up because I just try to celebrate the wins. Like, we're crushing this year, so like, let's go do something fun. So this Saturday we have a team photo again, and then we're gonna do. They don't know what it is. I can't tell you guys yet either. But we're gonna go have another team day. When does this air?
Like 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. We're going to iFly on Saturday.
Oh,
I rented out the whole place.
Indoor skydiving, right?
Yeah. I rented out the whole place for the day. So like they're gonna have a blast. They all know I'm up to something.
Yeah.
And they're all like kind of excited and nervous, and so that's what we're gonna do. So it's just doing stuff like that. That's like, it's better than, going to a bar and having happy hour with your team. Like, I'm sorry, drinking's for cold calling, right?
I'm quoting you on that.
Lauren is currently making me want to curl up in a ball because our team retreat is next week, and I'm like, I
love that perspective. Lauren, it's been so great to hear about your successes, your accomplishments, and your strengths. I want to shift the conversation a little because what we want to do is learn from not only your successes but your failures as well. What's one of the missteps maybe that you've experienced over your career as you've been growing your business, and what did you learn through going through that experience?
Oh, well, the biggest mistake is just not having a super tight CRM.
Okay, tell us more about that.
So when I first got in the business, if a lead didn't answer in the morning, I would take it and put it in the nighttime pile. And then if they didn't answer, I put them in the daytime pile, and I'd call my leads. That was my CRM. So I just wish in 2003, like, I really started a really serious CRM that I have now that I was forced to build because of the team. And so I just wish like that I did a lot earlier. And then also I wish I started the team a lot earlier. Like I only gave up TCing like 3 years ago.
Well, I love that advice around a CRM, though, because, I mean, whether you're an agent that started today or whether you've been in the business for 25 years, solo agents, teams, and everything in between have to have some type of database, some type of system to make sure that we're not losing track of people, letting them fall through the cracks. And so creating a simple system around lead generation is not only going to help you as a solo agent, but it's going to help distribute leads to your team as well, creating that culture of productivity.
Yep. And I don't want agents to get in bad habits, but you had a system.
I know.
Right? You had a system. It may not have been the best system.
And I always mailed a birthday card and a holiday card. I've always done that. So I use send out cards. If anybody wants a discount link, I can give you that. But like, so that's my way of at least getting you something. Because you're in the system, it's automatic. So now I'm like, systems. I'm reading Traction right now for the 15th time. One of these days I'll set better KPIs for my team. But like, so I'm reading Traction, and so it's all about systems. And then it's like, if you have more than, because right now I have a system and we're like moving the sales team to a different one than the office one, and it's like, if you have two systems, you're failing. I'm like, damn it. Can't win.
It's a work in progress.
The problem with systems is they never end, and you just gotta buckle. Like, if you buckle down and do your CRM, even a simple email like CRM that just goes out every month to your clients, like, it will literally change your business in 5-10 years. I've seen people change industries and become the top agents quickly because of their database. You know, they came from sales of something else, but then they switched over. All they did was change. They had the same CRM, they just changed the message.
Right.
Yep.
So that to me is like my biggest, because I think I have more people on my cell phone than my CRM, you know, so that's a problem.
Well, that's prospecting and marketing 101. It's the message and the method. And if you're in sales of any kind, if you have your database in order, you simply adjust the message. The same method can exist, and you can start creating business. And honestly, I mean, one of our top agents here, you know, she came to the office like 5 years ago. She said, "Hey, I'm moving up to Payson. I see a weakness in the market," and it had to do with this whole concept of just database and not marketing appropriately to that database. Said, "Hey, I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna become the number one agent in 5 years." She did. She went. She took over. Like, she's done that, and it's like, okay, now she's a top agent in the state, right? And it's just around that simple concept of a database and then the message going out consistently.
And a target, right? Like, she had one, like, her goal was very clear to her.
One thing.
This is the market, this is the problem, and this is how I'm going to solve it. And she put 5 years into it. Yeah, she's beating us all.
Cool. So talk to us about where is the Rosin team going from here? Like, what's your vision? You said you're a visionary. Where are you going?
I don't know. It's hard because I already ran out of space again in our new office, so I'm at my max.
It's a good problem to have, I suppose.
So the goal is to really start. So my systems are finally getting really good. And so now, a couple years ago, I was able to duplicate into San Diego. So now we're building out that team, right? But so now I'm going to have those systems. But now I'm licensed in the whole state. So once I have that system really ran correctly and the meetings really dialed in, I can go put 2 agents in Orange County, right? I can put 2 in Sacramento. My admin team here in Arizona is running everything. So I can control them and be here and then fly out for meetings. So my focus right now is systems, which is going to help with the lead management. Because I have too many lead problems. You guys heard of this problem? It's a thing. They cherry pick deals and they're like satisfied with themselves. And so it's like, if you gave somebody 10 leads, they're probably going to close 3, right? But if you give someone 100 leads, they might close 3. So
True.
Right.
That's where my
very
thing.
insightful.
So I keep doing all this marketing and bringing more leads and business. And the other day I was like, stop. Your conversion rate needs to be better. So tracking your numbers as a team lead is super important. And not tracking the numbers like that you need to track numbers that are earlier in the process. Like you don't need to track, oh, our conversion rate's only 3. Okay, well, where's the issue? The issue's here, right? The system's not plugged in right, or they're not using the system. So it's like trying to track stuff, because everyone tracks their closings and their units, but like, are you tracking your lost contracts? Are you tracking your lost listing appointments? Are you tracking your lost, leads that could have been converted? So I think just like tracking the numbers earlier is important too. I say, there's probably 5 to 7 things you should track as a team lead because you don't want to make yourself crazy too. So I think that's super important. And then another trick with my agents, I set quarterly goals, not monthly goals, because I feel like you could have a bad month or two and it shouldn't just throw you off, right? And so what I do is I set a 3-month goal. Okay, for this quarter, your plan is this much, so you have to do this many a month. But if you missed one that first month, you can still make it up in the second and third month. So it almost drives them to like get the goal. Where if you just set a monthly goal and they fail, they're like, oh, bummer. But now I'm like, wait, you still have opportunity to win. Come on, let's go.
Right.
So I've been liking the quarter goal setting.
How long have you been doing that?
This is the first year.
Okay. Yeah. I think, and honestly, we were just talking about this the other day. Quarterly goal, I feel like, is becoming more of a popular thing. And I would agree. The way you just explained it is important. I think not bringing people through those peaks and valleys so much and giving them a little bit longer trajectory there, I think is really insightful.
And what's cool too, like even if you're just a lone agent, like you should have a P&L, because you can look at a P&L and you can see trends. Like, so I kept yo-yoing, right? And I was like, and the reason why is because I didn't have a second TC. So what would happen was I had to jump in because we got so slammed. I'm backing up the TC the next month's low, right?
Yep.
Then the next month's low, I wrapped it up. So I was going like this. So I realized because of my patterns in my P&L, I had to bring on another full-time assistant, licensed agent, obviously. And so just identifying things from that. And that's why numbers are important. Like, you just start tracking now, because in 3-4 years, you can go compare back to those numbers. Like even though I didn't have a CRM, like an official one and all that, like I have every number ever on every spreadsheet and can track most things, surprisingly.
I mean, we can hear the transformation in you as from an agent to a business owner.
I answered the question.
Like, you're talking about the business owner's functions, which is tracking the numbers, reading a P&L, interpreting that data to make a decision for the business. What do I need to do next?
Right. So is sales manager my best role? No. And identifying that.
What do you think that you learned along the way? What source of learning did you find that made the most significant impact on shifting your mindset from I'm a solo agent to I am a business owner? How'd you figure that out? Was it a training event or something you read?
I did join EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, and they have a very good like business training program. And then we had like a forum every month where we met and talked. And so like I started going to more like team lead masterminds, right? And just kind of being around more business people and putting myself around. It's who you're around.
Totally.
I hang out with one of the top female agents in the state, is like my hiking buddy. And we both are literally probably competitors and have the same team models, and we're literally best friends, and we bounce ideas off each other. Because we're not, it's a lot of business out there. We don't need to compete on everything. We need to come together as team leads and figure out how we can service our clients the best. And that's like the real point of this.
Do you see why I love her?
I mean, just wise beyond her years.
I mean, the abundance mindset and everything. And I want to step back just a second, because what you said was really important with the 2 transaction coordinators and recognizing that in your P&L. One thing that I work with agents who are trying to go through this team building strategy a lot on is that your support needs to come before your sales.
Totally.
Right? Because, and this goes back to retention, if you don't have adequate administrative and support team in place, your whole value proposition to clients and to the talent you're trying to attract into your world becomes obsolete. It breaks down, and that's where agents then, the sales agents who are talented and are actually bringing in business, want to go find something else because you're not delivering on the value prop. So I talk to agents about you've got to add support before you add sales. And I think it even shows up in how you explained your expansion into other parts of the country, right? You said, I'm going to dial in the admin and operations and systems here because that's what's going to allow me to take off in other places. And I think that's incredibly important.
Yeah, it's just like, you got to think how much every salary agent I have probably produces 2 times the amount of work like a commission one does, because you can control them. They have set hours, they know their job, they know what they're supposed to do, and so you get a lot more out of them. So I'm really a big believer in like paying your admin really well so no one else can steal them. And then and so like and having a support team and then define, like I had 2 TCs, right? It was a mess. So we sat down and I said, write down everything you both do. And we split it up. And one was the TC and one was the listing manager. And then their next job was to train me and the sales team to ask the right person. So if I asked the TC a listing thing, she'd be like, I really would love to help you, but can you please ask Jennifer? And I gave them full permission to do this. And that's how they train me, because I have to be trained too, right? We're business owners. Like everybody, no one else, we matter the most. No. So everyone has like their role now in their lane. So we're bringing on, this is on in 2 weeks, right? I haven't told my team yet, but I have a 4th admin joining Mondays. I'm super excited about. Fully licensed. She's been in a sales agent role. It's not her role. She's not a salesperson, but she completely fits my culture. And her contracts are more accurate than anybody on the team. It's like, why wouldn't I bring in that person in-house and give her a salary? And I W-2 my employees. I'm not cheap. Like, that people try to 1099 everyone. They don't realize they're kind of screwing their clients because, not their clients, their admin, because they're paying extra like Social Security tax and all that. And so I W-2 them. And so they just know. And in March, when the market, like we didn't know what was going to happen, like my team was freaking out, my admin team. I said, I literally have both your salaries in the bank. I promise you I'm not letting you go. I didn't spend all that time training you to let you go. And so like you just have to like have money as a team lead to make sure you can cover everybody's bills for 3 months, and like being smart about it and not being stressed out.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a cash call.
And like you got to understand, you got to spend money to make money. I mean, any business, right? Like my agents that do really well came into the business with some money in the bank. I won't hire anybody without at least 3 months of their bills in the bank at this point. Because even if you're a great agent, it's still 45, 60 days to get a check.
Right.
So just like setting up people correctly.
It's cool. And yet again, it's long game versus short game. All right. I think we're gonna need a second show. This has been awesome. It's so
we
so
can talk
good.
About anything.
I want to transition us into the last segment of our show. Okay, 3, 2, 1, action. The same 3 questions that we ask every single guest. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Is the seat warming up?
Okay.
Okay. All right, Joe. Question number 1.
Lauren, over the entire course of your real estate career, who has been the one most influential person and why?
It hasn't been one. There's been several, and they've.
You can't do that.
Really?
Narrow it down.
Okay.
What's the first name that comes to your mind?
Carl Chapman. He was my first coach ever.
And how did Carl help you?
He was team lead, and I went over to him and I researched him and I showed up and said, "You're the only person I'm willing to work for. When's my interview?" And so we had an interview the next day and we spoke for like 2.5 hours, and he really taught me a lot. He's really an SEO genius, so he's just flooding the market. It was 2005, so we were just like tons of leads coming in. So he really is, and he's always been like, teams, I want to build a team, and like, unfortunately, like a lot of people in that industry, they left the market who weren't really natural salespeople, and so they went back to their jobs. But this team thing was like, it was always bugging me. To this day, he's like, finally you build that team, like, So I'd say him.
That's awesome. Should we give her one more?
All right, one more.
Who's another one? Who's another person that came to mind?
I mean, I really go right back to my coaches.
Yeah.
Because each one, like, and the thing about coaches, you got to change them every like year or so, because like you outgrow them.
Yep.
And you need, so like, okay, I started off with a team building coach, very specific, real estate team building coach. My next coach was a business coach. Nothing to do with real estate. But as you learn, businesses are all the same. People, processes, cash flow issues.
Yep.
Yeah, really good point.
So like I went to a business coach because right now in my career I need a business coach.
Well, I just love the intentionality around hiring the person that you need depending on the phase and the chapter you're in.
Right. Like this morning I needed a gym coach.
Right. That's got nothing to do with, I just like this coach as a person, so I'm going to keep him around for 10 years. That's not the decision at all.
Oh, yeah.
It's not
and
personal.
you always leave with a good, like I'm still friends with every one of them,
right, Right.
So I think it's like, and that's what I tell people too, like in my interviews, how you leave a team says more about you than anything, right?
Absolutely.
And so just doing it right. And so, because eventually you're going to outgrow people.
Yeah. We do exit interviews here at my brokerage, and I tell the team, how we get out of business with people is more important than how we get into business with people, because again, long game versus short game. Question number 2: what is the most impactful book on your career?
Oh God,
only one this time.
So many. Okay, if I had one book to tell everyone to read, it'd be Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
good choice.
Yeah.
I love Dale Carnegie. I take a lot of his courses, actually. They have a local place around here that you can take courses. And so I really like him because he's just all about treating everybody good and the same, like, and equal and fair. Like, he walked around the factories, he knew everyone's names, and like, how many times as an owner, like, you don't, like, as a team lead, you don't know your agent's kids' names, right? And so stuff like that I just think is really important. I've been reading The Billionaire Coach right now, which is my favorite. I'm listening a second time. I love that guy. He's a football coach that was the coach for Steve Jobs and for Microsoft.
Bill Chapman, right? William Chapman?
Yeah.
I think that's his
No,
name.
not Will Chapman. Bill something, though.
Bill something.
Yeah, but
Shoot, it's on my shelf. That's terrible.
that's a great one. That's an easy read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Traction's really good.
We
if
told
you
you
have a
one,
team.
and you just squeezed in three.
I know.
Well played.
I'm like, what else? I haven't read that one.
That one's a good one.
I mean, there's a lot of good ones. Leaders, Eat Last.
Simon Sinek.
Leaders Eat Last is a good one.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, action. Lauren, this is the All In podcast, as you know, where we encourage and challenge our listeners to go out there and take immediate, massive action. So the question for you is, for our listeners today, what advice do you have for them? What is one actionable step that they can go take today to move the needle forward in their business?
Time block and set your CRM, your systems in place. And don't let anybody put your phone on do not disturb and build out your system. If you're a loan agent, get a simple CRM that sends an email. You got a few different kind of drips. Just spend the time. Nobody likes doing it. Nobody. Just do it, because the people that do it right away have the better careers. So the CRM, I think, is everything.
That's so good. So good.
Yeah.
Lauren, this has been an awesome interview. Thank you for investing your time with us and bringing value to our community. If people want to learn more about you, your team, any content that you put out, where can they find you?
So I'm a huge social media person. You could see me like using a jackhammer and a dress and heels because it's hilarious, or a chainsaw. So any of my social media, everything's under Lauren Rosin, Rosin. So, and the website's laurenrosin.com. So just Google me.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being our guest. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the All In podcast. As always, go play All In.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the All In podcast. We want to invite you to find all of today's resources from our show page at aipodcast.co. We also ask that you take just 1 minute to leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. This is how we grow and how we're able to bring you the best content each and every week. Now go play All In.